say we're like trying to bake cookies. It sounds like they threw a lot of ingredients in there, but then did not mix them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stick Up to the Manga Podcast, your weekly manga podcast where each week we talk about a new manga. This week we're talking about Ousama's Game. It can also be translated to King's Game. But if you try looking for it as King's Game when you're looking to read the manga, you're not going to find it.
You're going to get the anime.
Yeah. Right.
Which is equally as good as the manga, but I mean, there's little differences. Actually, a lot of differences. A lot of little differences. So, I would recommend reading the book before watching the anime.
Alright, I'll read the summary. Would you flash your classmates in high school? Would you allow the class bully to fondle you? Would you tell someone to die knowing that it might happen? What if you knew that if you didn't, you would be harshly punished for disobeying the king? These are the questions Ousama has asked the students of Tamaoka Prefecture High School. Do you want to play a game?
Are you sure we're in the right series? Because that references Saw.
It is. Did that as a little nod. And before we go any further, just gonna put a trigger warning out there. If you are sensitive to blood, gore, or suicidal imagery, don't read this manga, and probably don't listen to the rest of this podcast, because we're going to talk about blood, gore, and suicidal themes.
Also, if you don't want to be spoiled, make sure to read the stuff first. If the other disclaimer doesn't disturb you first.
Yes. And this week we read the whole series. All 25 chapters. But there's a bunch of spin-offs. And apparently, guess what, guys? This is based off of a light novel.
Woohoo!
Actually, it's based off of a cell phone novel, which were really big in Japan.
Oh boy, okay, so how
Is that
do
like
we
Wattpad?
I guess so.
Wattpad?
I don't know what Wattpad is.
I was like, what's it? It's like fan fiction for books.
So just to say, just a little bit of a confession here, I only read half the manga, but I did see the anime.
Poser. Okay, I'm just kidding. But this week we also have one of my friends being a guest speaker. Their name is LaKeisha.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh, hello.
Nani?
They're going to be speaking on this manga with us this week.
Yep.
I have to turn
Okay.
LaKeisha down a little bit.
We ready to get into it?
Mm-hmm.
So, can we talk about the beginning of this manga real quick? Because the first part of chapter 1 is like the main character talking to his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden an arm pops off, like blows off, and then he wakes up. And you're like, that's an interesting entrance. And I have never even heard of this manga or the anime, so I had no idea where this was going, and I was like, well, that's a fun little entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Gabby, I should have warned you.
Gabby loves gore. It's her favorite thing.
Yeah, I love it so much. Oh my god.
There's a lot of death in this. 31 or more deaths.
All of them. All of them had to die to stop the Ousama. Like,
but they didn't actually stop the Ousama. They just all died.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not sure if this happened in the manga. I'm not sure because, like I said, I read halfway. But the one person that omitted she was the Ousama when Nami.
That's Rika, and that was a fake. Rika wasn't Ousama.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember her death in the anime. She was trying to hack the hacker in order to
Yeah, that happened in the manga too.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
really? Okay, so
hold,
not too
hold,
far off.
hold. That's at the very end. Let's go back to the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So what do you guys think about Nobuaki?
Nubuaki, is
Fucking
that the main
dumb.
character?
Yeah, the
Yes.
main character.
Honestly, he's probably the purest out of all of them.
He's
Mm-hmm.
also an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
He
idiots are usually the most likable.
I don't.
I
Yeah.
disagree with that
With
with
this,
with intense feelings. I disagree with that statement.
like, I definitely Nobuaki is the most likable character, except for maybe Daisuke. But Daisuke
Honest,
just dies really soon, so
honestly, he didn't do much. Why would he be a likable character when he literally says maybe two sentences? Two.
Daisuke, he says more than that.
they
He
have
has
a
a
full
whole
conversation.
chapter to
We're
dedicated
we're
to him.
talking we're talking about the guy that tried to save the other guy's girlfriend, right? In the
Uh,
beginning, in the beginning.
The
we're
guy
talking
who the
we're talking about the third death. So,
yeah
in the thing that happens is that the Ousama game happens, and they're like, just like then the two characters kiss or whatever, and then the next thing was like, I forgot what they had to do, fondle someone's breasts,
yeah
I
the
think,
bully had to
Yeah.
and then
fondle the
yeah,
girl's
and then
F cups.
they were not F cups visually, just
Yeah,
saying.
visually
But
they were not.
yeah, but they didn't do that, and then they both died, but we didn't see that death, but they were like the first two deaths. And then after that, Daisuke was called on to sleep with one of the boys'
Yeah.
girlfriends.
Okay. Yeah.
That
That's the
guy.
guy I
That's
thought we were
Daisuke.
talking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He
There
had a
was
lot of dialogue in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
I, I, I don't know because, like, it was just a bunch. This is the guy that was trying to learn guitar too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, the one that became the Nubaku's new best friend or whatever.
Oh, Nobuaki, the dude who gave him the bracelet.
Yeah.
Nobuaki's the main character. Daisuke is the character who died. The third death, but the first death we see in the manga.
Yeah, the first one that we actually okay, like
Visualize.
that scene like actually like oh fuck, that's like that's a lot of detail going into this.
Yeah,
Wasn't he
I was like,
supposed to be?
what a
I
quality
don't
news.
I don't know if I'm thinking of the right thing, but he was told to, like, when the Asoma gave authority to say one thing to
Yeah,
the guy that
his friend told him to go die already.
yep, and so he had to die no matter what.
Yeah, that was awful. Like, even if it wasn't real, like, that's terrible to even wish upon someone. Like, that dude's a freak, and I hope that that girl left that boy. I think she ended up dying anyways, but
Yeah, she died later on in the series. Doesn't the guy that told him to go kill himself end up being like one of the main like I'm gonna help save everybody now?
I don't think so.
I
Yeah, I'm
don't.
not sure.
I'm not sure.
Like
They look
I just
very
remember him
similar.
being a dick.
I remember him being a dick.
I don't
He had long
think
hair,
that
though.
actually. I don't think that actually happens until they get to the scene where they had to bash like fingers off or whatever. Or is that only in the anime?
They bash each other's fingers off?
What?
Huh?
You really? There was this whole scene where there's this whole group game in the anime where they all sit in a circle and the order that it was like a messed up thing. I can't
Yeah,
explain the
no,
whole.
this was not.
This is not in the manga.
Okay.
The
Okay.
only
So
like group activity in the manga was the pulling of numbers game.
Yeah.
really, that's disappointing because I was actually wait. I prepared myself to see fingers get bashed in detail with manga.
Kevin, I'm thinking you have a gore kink or something.
I don't have a gore kink. I swear.
We
I,
don't believe you, but that's okay.
why would I have a gore kink? That's such a weird kink to have.
Okay, people are gonna be in our comments attacking you for that one. Let's not kink shame. Um,
Oh, trust me, I'm going to be the most attacked, and it's probably because I'm the
hentai.
perverted one in the group. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, which is
I'm.
why how Jake introduced me was false, but that's fine. Um, so Jake, why did you think Nobuaki was the Oisama?
Just I was like, maybe this is gonna be a thing where like his dream where he like hit the hand appeared and he was like, oh, I have a hand in my back pocket. I was like, oh, maybe he has dreams and those dream sequences end up coming into the real life and affecting people.
That
I
would have
didn't
been
even
more
think
interesting.
I didn't think about that at all, but what you just said, Keisha, was so true. That would have been so much more interesting.
Hmm. I didn't
Um,
think of it either.
oh my God. No, I didn't. I'd never questioned him because he just seemed to be like such a stupid heroic character. And when I say that, like I literally think he's stupid, but he has like that heroism that makes him want to like go out there and try to save everyone, even though he does it in a really stupid way. So I never questioned him, but also we see it from his perspective. And I have read a few mangas or watched a few animes where they do like, oh, you think this person's fine because you're going from like their perspective mostly, and all of a sudden it's a switch,
Ah,
and that is terrifying.
Dio. Ah, Dio. That is.
No.
Are
Not what I
you?
Dio's
want
a
to think
bad
about.
guy.
Dio's always bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gabby. Um, is it true that you thought Kimi was going to be Osama?
Yeah, I did. I did think Chiami was going to be Oisama, but that was only towards like the middle because Nobuaki is such an idiot and he loved her so much. Like he he like dumped her so they wouldn't die. He wouldn't die and he could make sure to save her, and then all this stuff happened. And I realized like all the people that the author was trying to make look guilty, like Rika and then the asshole character and then all the other ones, I was like, it's got to be her because he's pushing her away and maybe like she'll punish him by killing him. I don't know. I just thought that would have been a more interesting plot twist, especially towards the end when you realize her mother was involved with the original Oisama's game.
Yeah.
This actually, so I guess there is a little bit of difference
There's way
because
more stuff that happens in the anime. I did a lot of reading. I was like, all right, there's got to be more to this. Like, come on. And the anime has like
yeah,
a ton of more details. Like, apparently Kiemi has a twin sister, and like
Oh,
Honda isn't her mom's actual family name, and it's nuts.
yeah.
yeah, that's
So
what I was trying to say. Like that's why I don't know what you guys have actually seen or haven't seen.
that's why you have to do your homework.
I'm sorry, Gabby. I work and stuff
I'm
now.
just teasing. But yeah, no. So for me, the manga felt like it felt like they threw a lot of components. So like, here, I'll use a metaphor. Say we're like trying to bake cookies. It sounds like they threw a lot of ingredients in there, but then did not mix them and just dumped it into a pan. Because there were a lot of components that could have been interesting, but they all fell really flat, or didn't actually seem interesting to me. Like I had a lot of problems with the storyline in this manga.
It left me with a lot of questions about certain plot
Yes.
points that I'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah. For instance, like the whole couple of chapters with Kana and how she like we had never even heard of her, but all of a sudden she's like in love with Nobuaki.
Oh yeah.
Kana was actually just a whore. That
She
put simply.
I mean not in the manga.
No, in the manga She was
She
because
sold her
she's the
body.
one.
Oh, right.
Oh, you're
Sorry.
talking about Nami.
Sorry, I
No,
meant
no,
Nami.
not
I apologize.
Nami. Yeah,
I meant
Gabby's
Yeah.
talking
Nami.
about Nami.
Sorry, my
Nami.
apologies.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't get those two confused. Nami's like
I mean,
awesome until she goes blind and actually like confesses at the wrong time.
I mean,
And then
Yeah.
commits
ultimately,
suicide via drowning. Yeah.
Yeah.
ultimately, like Kana and Nami like influenced the manga the same amount. So they both kind of fucking sucked. Like
You thought Nami sucked?
yeah, I really disliked the chapters with Nami. I was like, you literally just introduced this second love interest just to kill them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
as soon as she introduced, she's like, oh, I like him, and it's like she's dead. Bye,
So
bitch.
I agree with that. But my problem that I had especially with her is that there was actually a very interesting punishment that happened to her. One of the few interesting punishments where they don't die,
Yeah,
the blindness, and they take that away right away. So
yeah,
I was like, all right. I was like, so it doesn't even matter.
Mhm.
that too.
You
So
know, I would
once we
have loved
got
this. I would have loved to see where they took the blindness actually, because there's a lot of things Nami would actually struggle with now, and it's like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, you just killed off a potential here.
once we got to that chapter though with Nami, and once she was killed off, I mean she killed herself, but once the
Yeah.
author killed that character off, I was like, okay, so this is just everyone's gonna die. Like for me, I was like, once I hit that point, I was confident that most everyone, if not everyone, was gonna die,
Yeah.
and that was just it.
The best thing about this manga is that like the little detail of like Nobuaki wearing Daisuke's rock bracelet.
That was probably the only redeeming factor in this manga for me.
Yeah, I didn't
Is that
expect Daisuke to even die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you do though?
I still don't understand that one. Okay, sorry, derailing. So the ones where they spontaneously decapitate or rip apart, okay, we saw those in the later chapters. We saw how those happen. Fine, but I really don't know how, like, because they were never compelled to do it. It just happened. So how are they spontaneously like hung? like I don't get that.
Okay, like
That bothers me.
okay,
Uh,
can we skip to the end here because there's so much that
Want
we can
to.
talk about, but the end is where anything is like kind of interesting but also pisses you off the most.
Because
Like
nothing is
everything
fleshed
before
out.
doesn't matter. Like up till
Yep.
like chapter like everything before chapter 15 really doesn't matter except for Daisuke's death.
Yeah.
Except to tell you like
The
yeah,
what's happening.
Daisuke was important for Nobuaki's character development in this, and that was really it. And then
Yep.
other things that happened, it just was like setting up like, oh, this is Oisama's game. This is the thing that's occurring. And then those
okay,
15
so
chapters were pointless.
since we're talking about the end, this is the point where one of the crazy people, I can't remember, one of the girl characters takes a chainsaw and starts
No.
like killing.
No.
That
No,
wasn't
that's
in
only
the
in the
manga.
anime.
That's just an anime.
Are you kidding me?
You know what? The anime sounds way better than the manga.
Yeah, it does.
It's
But can I say something? So when I finally like, I'm sorry for being so harsh, but I did not like this at all. I did not enjoy it. So when I finally got to the interesting part of this manga is where Nobuaki realizes that there was original Osama's game that was like an ancient village, and he goes in the village and he sees connections to his girlfriend, which was like I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be Osama, I think, or maybe it's the mom still. I don't know how this works. We don't know a lot of information.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like four of his classmates just casually showed up. Like one tied him up, then one died. and then everyone was dying again with the whole crying thing, which made no sense because it was like, don't do anything unnatural, and then people were spontaneously dying because they cried.
No,
Like,
it
that still
wasn't
doesn't make sense to
unnatural. It
me.
was don't do anything unnecessary.
I
Oh, I remember that rule.
but
Oh.
but still unnecessary. Like, I still don't get it.
That can mean anything.
Yeah,
Literally, like,
exactly.
being unnecessary can be like, what if I got a second portion of dinner today because I'm a little hungry? Boop, spontaneous decapitation. Like, what?
I don't think it would work like that because food is.
But is eating an
Stop.
extra portion
No.
essential?
Yes. No, it's not. But stop trying to rationalize the irrationality of Oisama's game, please, Kevin. Don't do it because it's irrational.
The worst part is that all along it's an AI with the power of fucking suggestion.
Yep.
When you see somebody's head spontaneously start to spin until it tears itself off, how is that the power of suggestion?
Yeah, I don't get that at all. Because essentially, so I've read some things about power of suggestion, which is really interesting. It's like psychology, whatever.
Yeah.
But people can force themselves to do crazy things, but usually when it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, like, there's no natural way for somebody to be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, and then for them to spontaneously spin their head like 360 degrees more, or to spontaneously burst in fire. You cannot suggest that into happening. Like,
or suggest somebody to like dismemberment and have their hands explode and then their face tear in half and explode.
yeah. Yes, I'm agreeing with you. So, like, if it was dismemberment and they like went and started chopping off their own limbs, I would understand the suggestion part. But that's not what happened. We saw
They
lots
just
of incredibly
explode.
gory blood spurt scenes where they literally just start popping off limbs.
Hey, Jake and Gabby,
Yeah.
can we like watch the anime and talk about the
No.
comparison because really because I think people would enjoy that.
If the people want it, but if the people don't, I'm gonna have a hard pass because this was way more than enough.
It's,
Really?
I really hated it.
I
really did.
I really enjoyed reading it until I got to the end.
I hated every single chapter except like one chapter.
Gabby, you just hate gore though. Let's be honest.
No, that's not true. Because I have lots of animes and mangas where they can have gore in them, and I really enjoy them. I don't dislike this because it's gore. I dislike it because the story is choppy, not thought out, and the characters are obnoxious.
I'm a Junji Ito fan, and I hated this.
Like the first
Got
15
him.
chapters
No.
are nice to read if you don't go past them because you're like, oh, this nice little mystery, like who's Ousama, like what's this, what's happening. But then after that it falls apart because you find out everything that happened in those chapters that you just kind of read and like, oh, I kind of like this, didn't matter.
All that buildup was literally pointless. Like, there was no, like, for them to like hate each other and all the plots of them figuring it out. And yes, there are plots when you're writing a story where you try to build something up and then you quickly diffuse it, but you don't do that with the main cinematic climactic point of your whole story that just ruins the whole thing. And that's my problem with it, because they build up the whole drama.
Happened because, like, I got the anime ending. So what happened with the manga ending?
Ria went.
There was a red herring, and then they dissuaded that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then Ousama ended up being an AI after the unsuccessful hacking, and then they magically found out by the power of resisting placebo, they could just chance survive in their heads and not die.
But guess what? That didn't matter, because Kiyomi died anyway, because she got stabbed in a fucking artery, and they were like, oh, just fucking tie this up with like a bandana, and not even tie it tightly. And she just fucking bled out.
And then I'm pretty sure Nobuaki committed suicide, but there was no confirmation.
Who was Kiyomi? Like, I know. Are we talking
Kiyomi
about?
was Nobuaki's girlfriend.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So, I thought the way you pronounced it, it didn't sound like it sounded like a whole different character. Like, you didn't say Kimi. You said something a bit different.
Kiemi.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
But either way, I enjoyed this up until the end. Like when they found out that there was like a previous Ousama game, and it was in a town that was like forgotten and destroyed, and like that truck driver freaked out. I was like, oh, like what's gonna happen when he goes there? And then it doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
Nothing in this manga fucking matters at the end.
I
Yep,
really
and
expected something Higurashi-esque to happen at the town.
Oh, that's a good one. Higurashi is really good.
another problem I had with this manga wasn't even about that part, which I was mad about. It was the trope where you stir something in to make everyone distrust and hate each other, and then everyone starts being an asshole to each other.
Mm.
I just hate that trope. I really do, because it's like unnecessary drama, and then even more so, they ended up doing nothing with that drama, which is why I'm so pissed.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't like shows like The Walking Dead then?
Oh, I hate The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead is great.
I've seen a
couple
few
seasons are
sporadic
good.
episodes, and it was awful.
If you start from the beginning, the first 3 seasons are pretty good. But
Yeah,
then
and I'm
after
not
that,
judging
it's kind of shit,
Yeah.
honestly.
I will
It
admit,
gets repetitive.
I will admit that I have not seen it in any order from episode 1, so I can't say much about it. But every single thing I've read about it in the few episodes I have seen, I have no interest. It has not made me want to watch any more of it at all.
There's a lot of confusing shit in Walking Dead. But anyway.
I wasn't confused.
I think
there's
Osama's game is more confusing.
It's Osama's game isn't even confusing. It's just enraging.
It's just so stupid. I'm so sorry.
Like, I really
I'm
liked the
so
concept
mad.
of like, oh, this entity is telling you to do things, and if you don't do it, it'll kill you. I liked that idea. I would have preferred it if it was a tangible being, or even just like an actual god. Like, if they were just like, yeah, fuck the humans.
Hey Jake, a few weeks ago, the one we read that was very confusing with the another. Sorry, it's another.
Yeah.
I always forget titles.
I thought Beasters was last week.
A couple
I
weeks
didn't say
ago.
last week. I said a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so in another, like how they had the whole build up and the drama between all the classmates, but you actually figure out something. You figure out who it was.
Yeah.
Like there was still like some sort of outlet for this. There was like literally no outlet. It was just a spontaneous AI, and there was nothing like looking back at the chapters that would have made you think that. And I think that's another reason why I'm mad, because even though I'm usually surprised because I don't try to sleuth out the ending, like I don't think there was an easy way to predict that it was going to be an AI. Because every single thing pointed it to being like a person in the class, and that made me mad.
The only thing that might have made it seem like an AI was that there kept being the messages on the phone that were like, oh, A, E, we, they.
Yeah.
You know what doesn't make sense though with the whole touch a Soma rule? Like, and not getting a success message? If a Soma is an AI, then wouldn't touching the cell phone mean she touched a Soma? But the funny thing
no,
is...
because it's not. Because it's just, an AI is just utilizing the cell phone. The AI was
You'd have to actually touch the program physically, which is impossible.
Yeah.
Not impossible.
She could have tried coding it. Like, it's like...
Yeah, she was a high schooler. They're like, what, high school sophomores, freshmen? I'm pretty sure most of them don't know how to code.
There's a lot of coders in anime that are high school level. Like Senku, for example.
I'm not saying that there's not. I am not saying that there's not. I'm saying that there wasn't in this chapter. Especially the girl who said, I wish to touch like the person. And I think that's one of the reasons that made me mad because like I guess from that scene, because she touched everyone, you could have been like, okay, that could have been something that maybe was going to be an AI. However, they
She
had the
could.
whole scene where like, oh wait, no, she didn't actually touch everyone. Some people touched her, so actually it's still a member of the class,
That
and
was
that made me
bullshit.
mad.
Yeah, I didn't like that because it was like playing semantics. Because if someone touches you, you're also touching them.
Yeah, like
That doesn't.
don't play semantics when you're not even going to be using the semantics in the end anyways. Like just throw the semantics out since you do it in the end.
Okay, guys, we're going off script. That's pretty much where they are taking it with this one.
This.
You know, they definitely had a script. They just didn't give a shit about it.
To be fair, I recommended this one because I purely loved the anime, and it was good. But the manga, it just doesn't have the same feel.
Also, would like to point out that you told me that I don't like gore, which is usually true, except Tokyo Ghoul became one of my favorite mangas when we read that, and it's pretty gory. So, don't at me, boy.
Okay, let's talk about the actual like ending with how like, oh, I'm reintroducing myself to my love interest.
Okay. So, when I read it, I was like I thought that it was like a dream state that he was kind of put into, but then um Keisha told me if you want to explain Keisha. Then Keisha explained to me that it was probably he was asked to be killed, so now it's like a heaven state, which makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, since all Ousama seems to be capable of doing is killing people.
Yeah. Like,
So, but if Nobawaki, if you thought like Jake, you thought at one point Nobawaki was Osama. So if he was Osama, wouldn't he be able to stop the killing?
I was like, what if he like is Osama, but he doesn't realize it? Like, what if it's just a thing that his subconscious has the power of doing, and he doesn't know?
That's pretty strange.
But that's a thing that has like happened in like stories before, where it's like, oh, you know, like bedtime stories with Adam Sandler. Like he tells a story, and then if the kids like it, it comes true. Like whatever they introduce to the story will come true. Like it rained gumballs.
Yeah, it's like a trope in a lot of stories, especially in horror, because it like builds up the scary drama of like the scary mystery being. But it just falls so flat here.
Yeah, because they
Well,
decided to
something.
make it an AI rather than like some
Mhm.
outward
But can you
force.
imagine how much more dramatic the ending would have been is if they're like doing that survive, and then all of a sudden like um
It just killed them
she
anyway.
he no,
Yeah,
she opens her eyes and she's like psych and then kills him. Like that would have been so much better for me. Like that would have tied the whole story together for me.
yeah. If GMA just ended up being Osama,
Yeah, that would have been like honestly, like I probably would have liked it at least a little bit.
I think one thing I really like, cruelly enough, is how horribly Hacker Girl failed at hacking Osama. Like that was just a complete
Rhea?
failure on her part
Yeah.
Why would you be happy about that?
because she was so mean. So it felt like karma by the time that we got to the hacking part.
I actually don't remember how mean she was. Like, she just seemed
She
like cold and distant. That's it, really. She
and
didn't
she
see.
would constantly like insult everybody else's intelligence.
Yeah, she'd be like, "Well, if you were like to Nubawaki, she was like, yeah, well, maybe if you were smarter, you would have figured it out by now." But
Little
But
did
she
she know,
hadn't
she didn't
figured it
figure
out
it out
either.
either.
Hmm.
yep,
I mean, technically, she figured it out, but she figured out that there's nothing she could do.
Her face, though, when she just casually started, when she was casually like burst into flames, I was like, "What?"
I was like talking for a long time while being on fire.
I was like, that would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
How would computer code set you on fire?
Remember, it wasn't the computer code; it was the power of suggestion.
Because you can casually make yourself self-construct when an AI suggests you to. Don't forget.
So if I believe,
wait. So hold on. Power of suggestion. Don't you think in theory that it shouldn't have worked on Rhea, whatever her name is, though, because she knew.
She knew it was an AI.
She knew how to combat it. She knew it was an AI, so she shouldn't have done anything, but it still did. So this is why I have problems with the fact it was an AI.
Minded as everyone else.
I'm mad.
So if we believe deep enough, we can combust ourselves.
Yep.
Spontaneous human combustion.
So we just need to believe hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
I have better things to do than try to catch myself on fire. I have gas and matches for that.
But, like, the ending of, like, his dream state, it makes me feel like the AI is more than the AI, so maybe it is like this.
Well, is there a sequel to it? Is
There's
any
spin-offs.
other thing? Just spin-offs. No well, I guess, how would there be a continuation?
Apparently, in the anime, Nobuaki is transferring to a new school because he finished the last Ousama game and survived.
Yeah, you want to know something, though? That's actually part of the beginning. That's the beginning, is when Nobuaki This is where it gets really fucked up and confusing, because and where I got confused, I was like, isn't Nobuaki a transfer student? Because I remember that specifically he was a transfer student, and that specifically he knew everything that was going to happen, and he specifically tried to help everybody, but because he knew. But in the manga, he doesn't transfer until the end, which is very weird concept to wrap your mind around, because it's like, okay, so he transfers in the anime, but not the manga. Like, it was the exact, I can't say it enough, it was the beginning that he transferred in with the anime. So, it's just kind of weird, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, LaKeisha, would you recommend this manga to your friends?
For a laugh, not much else. There is something really specific that I would recommend it for. So, during the hacking part, there were comments talking about how much everyone hated the hacking part and how unrealistic it was. And one of them said, I'm in computer science and I'm offended by how unrealistic the hacking is in this manga. Now, I would recommend it so they can see that comment on the manga and have a laugh. Now, that's about it.
How in the world would it, how would it defend computer science students when computer science, okay, the hacking. I thought you were talking about, actual cutting body parts off. Okay,
No.
No.
Computer hacking. Also,
yeah.
Keisha is
Yeah, I kind of laughed at that part too, considering it's not like that at all. And you're in computer science?
Yeah.
We should talk later.
Yep.
Hentai.
No, Gabby. No.
Kevin, would you recommend this manga to your friends? You already did.
Who was that directed to?
That was you, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, I would recommend it, but I mean, I would recommend the anime over the manga, quite honestly.
Boy didn't even finish it, so take that as you will.
Well, it was exciting to read when for the parts I have read. But I mean, a lot of things would probably piss me off near the end, like Jake was saying, because I purely recommended this out of the anime. But at the same time, I don't remember much of the anime because I was going through a time in my life when I watched it. So I don't know. I would have to rewatch the anime to fully suggest that statement.
LaKeisha, going back to you for a second, what would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10?
I really got to take the ending into consideration and give it a 4 out of 10.
That sounds like a pretty solid answer, honestly. Kevin, what would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10?
50%, because like I really enjoyed the art style. I really enjoyed, like, the story was good up until a certain point,
Oh,
and like mainly the graphics were good. That's all.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like I would rate it a 5 just purely on like the visuals and the, yeah, I can't say theme song because books don't have theme songs. I like, so I rate it 5.
Okay. Gabby, would you recommend this to your friends? I think I know what you're going to say.
I mean, I did, and that's why Keisha is here.
Yep.
But if you're asking if I'd recommend it to any other friends, the answer is no.
Did you recommend it to LaKeisha because she likes horror-y, gory stuff?
Yeah, and also actually listens to. Also, I hadn't read much of it when I recommended it.
Yeah, that one is more my fault, Gabby, because I recommended it.
Yeah, this is what I get for trusting Kevin.
Also, Kevin, I had commented on the Discord that Ousama game makes up for Milf Isekai. You lost that. You lost that point.
Which point?
I made. Yeah, I sent a message on our Discord saying like, Ousama game made up for the mishap of Milf Isekai, and then I finished reading it, and I'm like, I take that back.
That's well, if you watch the anime, you would retake it back. But I mean, let's not get into that. Let's not get into this horrible, 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 horrible recommendation. Well, not horrible, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Milf Isekai
Okay,
was still worse.
Yeah.
What would you rate it,
Do you
Gabby?
Okay, that was like, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. Purely for the art. Purely for the art.
So you didn't like the art?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
She's giving 2 points only to the art.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it deserves a 3 to give it another point. But I rank stuff like Jake does, where you can give them 3 points for art, 3 points for story, and 3 points for character, and then +1 if you think it's exemplary and anything else. So I'm giving it a 2. And the only points that came from that is art, because the story was terrible. Anytime it got interesting, they killed the interesting parts of it. And then the ending was awful. And then I felt like you didn't even need to read half of it. And then the characters were obnoxious. Like anytime there was a character I thought might be interesting, they ruined it. So
pretty much my rating would actually be a 3 if I followed that rubric, and I should be following that rubric. So
you don't have to.
No, I'm going to, and I'm going to fully commit to this. I pledge to my fellow weebs that I
Oh.
will.
What about you, Jake?
I would recommend this to my friends.
You would?
Yeah, I would.
Why?
Because I want them to hurt how I hurt.
Oh, that's so cruel. That's like recommending Baku no Piku for everybody's first anime.
No, never. I'll
No,
never do
that's
that to
definitely
anybody.
different.
I'll never do that to anybody.
There's a difference between just bad quality manga and then making someone read something pedophilic and gay.
Yeah, honestly.
Is there something wrong with gay, Gabby?
No.
No.
There's not.
Pedophilia is a different story.
That's the pedophilia, though.
I don't know. It sounded like you had a thing against gay.
No.
I'm gonna get you canceled, Gabby.
Why are you laughing, Keisha? How dare you?
I fucking hate politics.
Okay. I would
Jeez,
rate
anyway,
Ousama game a 3. Just because I really liked the art.
Okay, so yeah, you gave it 1 extra point.
Yeah.
If we want to be serious, why I deducted 1 point is I do like dramatic art style in anime because that's what anime is, but sometimes in this manga I felt like it was a little absurd.
Yeah.
I kind of loved the absurdity though.
Yeah, but this was supposed to be like a serious horror type, and some of that took away from that for me.
Hey, Jake.
Like, it wasn't supposed to be like a humor horror.
Can I retake back my rating and say that it was 3 just because I'm following the system you and Gabby are?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
At this point, I want to reduce my score to a 3 as well.
So the average score is 2.9.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I think it might be a 2.75.
Hold on, I'll do the math.
3 plus 3 plus 2. No, 2.
Yeah, you're right. It's 2.75.
Math.
I can't do math in my head.
I also just want to say that Kana really jumped to conclusions.
Yeah.
Kana, are we talking?
Bruh.
What do you mean about her being automatically going to get it in the bag or something?
Guys,
like winning the vote?
Guys, think about how she died.
How did she die?
She jumped out a window after losing the vote, but her punishment was just going to be that she had to confess her love to her crush.
Yeah,
but she didn't look at what the punishment would be, and she just assumed she was going to die, so she just jumped out the fucking window. Yeah. She jumps to conclusions.
I understood what you were going for, Jake.
With the king, it's pretty much execution, so that's pretty understandable. But I mean, theoretically,
one of the first punishments, nothing happened. One of the first punishments was like nothing.
Nami and Kana could have survived because technically they're the only ones that didn't have death. And as far as I saw, there wasn't a lot of multiple choices.
All right, let's wrap up. LaKeisha, do you have any social media that you want to shout out?
Sure, y'all can follow me on Twitter at CottonCandyDev. I mostly post video game art, but sometimes I post video game and coding stuff related to my personal projects. And I'll probably post about this episode.
Oh, dang. Look at that.
Woo! You can follow me on Twitter at ShowMeYourManga.
Show me your manga.
Any shoutouts, Kev?
Well, not at this point in time, but I would really like it if you joined Kevin's hentai family, hentai castle family.
Okay, Jake, close us out.
All right, and you can follow my personal Twitter at Make Me Your Manga. And you can follow the podcast's Twitter at @SitManga. And you can follow us on Instagram at Sit Manga Podcast or Sit Manga Podcast. Basically, if you want to see any of our social media, do Sit Manga or Sit Manga, Sit with 2 T's, or you can do Stick It to the Manga, and we'll probably pop up. We also have a My Anime list where we track what manga we are reading and what our ratings are. So if you're ever like, I don't want to listen to the podcast, I just want to see what they rated it, because you trust our judgment, because we're really good at judging manga.
Some of us. Some of us. I feel so ashamed. I am so sorry. I will, I won't hype something up so much just because of an anime.
And that's it. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye, manga fans.
Bye bye. I fucking hate politics.